Hey friends, before the story begins, please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that whenever we bring a new story, you get it first. If you have trouble sleeping or your mind feels restless, then this story is especially for you. So let's begin. The Imperial nesting citadel stood like a dark mountain carved by ancient fire. Its walls were made of black stone that held the heat of old battles, and its towers reached high into the red sky. Every corner of the citadel seemed alive, rumbling under the restless power hidden inside. Deep in its center lived the greatest secret of the Empire, 3 dragon cubs born from the bloodline of the first flame. They were the Emperor's children. They were rare, sacred, and feared. And they were completely out of control. Every dawn began the same way. The air shook with heavy roars that came from the hatchling chamber. Flames burst through cracks in the stone like lightning. The floor trembled each time one of the cubs slammed its tail or beat its wings. The sound of breaking metal was normal here. The smell of burnt steel never faded. Guards kept their distance, staying behind heavy force shields, even though many of them were trained to face battlefield monsters. But the cubs were not monsters. They were infants, large, powerful, confused infants. Yet even as infants, they were more powerful than most fully grown war beasts in the galaxy. Caretakers from every alien species had tried to work with them. All failed. Some lasted minutes, some lasted seconds. The cubs burned armor, tore tools, smashed drones, and pushed away anyone who entered their space. Even telepaths who could calm entire planets failed to reach their minds. The dragons responded only with fear and fury. No one understood their needs, and no one survived long enough to learn. The Emperor grew frustrated. He loved his children, but love could not help them. If they were not trained, the future of his bloodline was at risk. An uncontrolled dragon was a danger not only to its home, but to entire continents. The High Council whispered that the hatchlings were cursed. Scholars argued they were too wild to raise. Generals suggested placing them in permanent isolation. The Emperor rejected every suggestion. He refused to let fear decide the fate of his children, so he did something unheard of. He opened the caretaker position to off-world species the Empire normally considered lesser or fragile. Among the many applicants, one name shocked everyone. Alia Rowan, human. Nurse, not a warrior, not a telepath, not a scientist, just a nurse. The council called it foolish. They argued humans were physically weak and had no special abilities. They said a human would last less than a minute in the chamber. But Alia's file showed something no one else offered. Years spent caring for infants in high-stress trauma wards, where instincts mattered more than strength. The Emperor saw something in her that the Council could not see. He approved her. On the day Alia reached the Citadel, the sky was covered with thick red clouds that looked like burning ash. Her ship landed on a platform surrounded by armored guards. The heat hit her like a wave, rising from the stone and the air itself. Every surface glowed faintly, filled with the energy of dragons living below. Alia stepped out slowly, feeling the heavy atmosphere press against her lungs. The air smelled of smoke and ancient minerals. She could hear distant roars echoing through the mountain walls. Each roar had weight, like thunder wrapped in fire. She knew she was walking into a place where even armored soldiers hesitated to enter. Guides led her through long corridors carved with glowing runes. They passed through multiple security gates. The deeper she went, the hotter the air became. Her skin prickled. Sweat coated her forehead. The noise grew louder, each roar shaking dust from the ceiling. When she finally reached the observation balcony overlooking the hatchling chamber, she saw the cubs for the first time. 3 massive creatures roamed the rocky floor below. Their bodies were covered in glowing scales, each scale pulsing with light like a small star. Their wings folded and unfolded in frustration. Their claws scratched the stone, leaving deep grooves behind. Fires flickered between their teeth with every breath. They were beautiful, powerful, and clearly distressed. Alia watched them closely. She noticed the way they paced in circles, the way their tails twitched in sharp patterns, the way their wings shook, not with aggression, but with fear. She saw hunger for comfort, confusion, and loneliness hidden behind their flames. Most caretakers saw danger. Alia saw pain. The Emperor stood beside her, silent. His eyes were fixed on the cubs, filled with worry he never showed to the public. His children were suffering and no one could help them. Alia felt the weight of the task ahead, but she also felt something else, an instinctive certainty. She had seen similar behavior in human infants who had lost their mothers too soon, infants who cried from fear, not anger, infants who pushed others away because they did not understand comfort. The dragons were not violent. They were grieving. Alia asked for permission to enter the chamber. Every alien around her stiffened in shock. No one had stepped into that space in weeks. Even armored drones stopped functioning within minutes. But Alia knew she had to see the cubs up close. She needed to let them smell her, sense her presence, feel that she was not a threat. Slowly, the Emperor lowered the protective barrier. Heat rushed toward Alia like an open furnace. Her skin stung instantly. The stone floor steamed under her boots. The cubs noticed her at once. 3 sets of bright golden eyes locked onto her small human form. Their bodies stiffened. Their wings flared. Flames gathered deep in their throats, glowing brighter and brighter. The air vibrated with tension. Every guard reached for their weapons. Every advisor held their breath. Alia did something no one expected. She knelt down. She lowered herself completely, pressing her palms to the scorching stone. It hurt, but she stayed still. To dragons, lowering the body was a signal of respect, something every other species had misunderstood. The largest cub stepped forward first, cautious but curious. It sniffed the air, its hot breath washing over her. Its claws scraped the stone. Its wings trembled. Alia did not move. The tension in the room grew sharp as a blade. The cub's eyes narrowed. Fire brightened between its teeth. Then something subtle happened, something the Emperor did not expect. The flame dimmed. The cub lowered its head slightly, confused by her lack of fear. Alia raised one hand, slow as drifting ash, and placed it gently against the cub's snout. For a moment the world held its breath, and then the dragon exhaled. A long, low breath that was not a roar but something almost peaceful. The other cubs moved closer, watching. Alia remained still. In that simple touch, a bridge formed. Not a full bond, but the beginning of understanding. The advisors stared in disbelief. The Emperor's eyes widened. The guards stepped back, stunned. For the first time since their birth, the dragon cubs had paused, calmed, acknowledged a presence without fire or rage. It was small, fragile, but it was a beginning. The unbreakable hatchlings had finally met someone who did not try to control them, someone who simply understood them. And the Empire would never be the same. The chamber door sealed behind Alia with a deep metallic echo that traveled through the stone like a cold warning. She stood alone with the 3 dragon cubs, with nothing between them except the burning air. The force shield that had always protected others was now gone. Only the heat, the firelight, and 3 pairs of glowing golden eyes remained. Alia felt sweat gather at her neck and slip down her spine. The temperature in the chamber was far beyond human comfort. The air tasted of metal and ash. The ground under her boots pulsed with warmth. Everything here belonged to the dragons, not to her. Yet she stood her ground because she had seen something in the cubs, something no one else had recognized. They were not enemies. They were not monsters. They were scared children, too strong for their own good. The largest cub, the one who had touched her hand earlier, watched her with sharp curiosity. Its nostrils opened and closed as it examined her scent. The other 2 circled slowly, unsure whether to trust her or protect their space. Their claws scraped the stone, leaving thin, glowing lines. Their wings trembled with restless energy. Alia kept her breathing steady. Every instinct in her human body told her to run, yet she grounded her feet deeper and let her hands relax at her sides. She reminded herself of the patterns she had seen earlier. The cubs reacted to tension like storm clouds to lightning. If she panicked, they would too. She remained calm. The cubs moved closer, step by step. Their scales glowed brighter in patches, reacting to emotion. She noticed something important. The patterns of their glow lacked rhythm. They flickered in sharp bursts, not flowing smoothly like she had seen in older dragons during her research. Their hearts were beating out of sync. Their bodies were confused. Their instincts were desperate. That explained their lack of control. That explained their constant fire bursts. Their energy was scattered, unfocused, chaotic. Alia understood infants who cried because their bodies didn't know how to regulate emotions. These cubs were the same, only their cries came as molten flame. The largest cub inhaled sharply, gathering heat in its chest. Alia saw the warning. Instead of stepping back like the caretakers before her, she stepped forward. She moved slowly, but with purpose. She kept her shoulders relaxed, her heartbeat steady. She had learned long ago that infants matched the emotional state of whoever cared for them. And these dragon cubs were watching her every move. The cub stopped drawing fire. Its body shivered instead, almost uncertain. Alia lifted her hand again, showing she came without harm. The cub bent its massive head, still hesitant, but no longer aggressive. Meanwhile, the smallest cub approached from the side. It was the most anxious of the three. Its scales flickered uncontrollably, flashing between bright gold and dim orange. Its wings were clenched tightly to its body, as if trying to contain the overwhelming energy within. Alia slowly lowered herself to one knee. The movement was gentle, soothing, non-threatening. The small cub paused. Then it lowered its head in response. Alia saw something broken inside its eyes, a kind of tiredness no infant should ever have. It had spent every day in fear, reacting to its instincts with no one to guide it. The realization pulled at something deep in Alia's chest. She reached out, placing her palm on the ground, letting the cub feel her warmth without forcing contact. The small cub leaned forward and placed its snout over her hand. It was heavy, warm, and trembling. Alia felt its heartbeat, fast, uneven, scared. She closed her eyes and focused on breathing slowly, letting her own heartbeat settle into a steady rhythm. The cub's heartbeat began to change, at first in small shifts, then gradually falling into a slower pattern that matched hers. Across the chamber, the Emperor and his advisors stood in stunned silence. They had never seen the cub so calm. Soldiers who had prepared for emergency extraction found themselves rooted to the spot, confused by the quiet scene unfolding below. Alia continued to breathe slowly. Her own skin burned, but she ignored the pain. Her focus was entirely on the cubs. She knew she was creating something fragile, something new, a connection that had never existed before. The medium-sized cub approached next. Its wings unfolded slightly, releasing sparks into the air. Instead of stepping around Alia, it moved beside her and pressed its head gently to her shoulder. The touch forced Alia forward, nearly knocking her down, but she steadied herself and let the cub lean against her. The largest cub, seeing the others calm, finally lowered its massive body and curled its tail around them. It kept its head close to Alia, watching her carefully, as if judging whether she truly belonged in their circle. In the center of the nest, 3 dragon cubs surrounded a human nurse as if she were part of their brood. Something ancient stirred in that moment, not magic, not power, but instinct. Dragons were creatures of blood memory. They imprinted on presence, on rhythm, on emotional resonance. And Alia was giving them what they had missed since birth: warmth without fear, contact without control, presence without dominance. But something deeper happened, something Alia did not expect. The cub's scales began to pulse in a new pattern. Smooth waves of golden light rolled across their bodies, matching her breathing. Their wings relaxed, their claws softened against the stone, and their fire dimmed to faint, harmless embers. For the first time since they were born, the cubs were not in chaos. They were in. Alia realized the truth. The dragons needed something like a heartbeat to anchor their emotions. In the wild, their mothers would hum low vibrations through their bodies, guiding the cubs' inner rhythm. Without that, they were left drifting in instinctual storms. They were never dangerous by nature. They were simply alone. Alia stayed with them until her legs trembled with exhaustion. She could feel the heat rising through her skin in waves. But the cubs remained calm, resting their heavy heads against her shoulders and lap. The Emperor finally signaled for the barrier to rise again, but only after Alia gently signaled she was ready to leave. She moved slowly, letting the cubs understand she would return. They watched her rise, their eyes glowing not with fire, but with something close to trust. When she stepped out of the chamber, her clothes were scorched, her skin red, and her body trembling from heat. Yet she carried a strange peace inside her. She knew this was only the beginning. In the chamber behind her, the cubs huddled together for the first time in their short lives, breathing in a slow, steady rhythm that followed the memory of her presence. And in the heart of the Empire, something ancient had awakened. A bond between human softness and dragon fire. The night sky over Emberfall Ridge burned with a strange red glow, as if the heavens themselves were watching the hatchlings with silent curiosity. The wind carried the scent of ash and ancient memories, whispering warnings that only the brave could hear. Aiden stood near the small campfire he had made, staring at the 3 dragon hatchlings curled beside him. Ember, the fire-red one, slept with her head on his boots like an oversized cat. Flint rested beside her, wings twitching as if dreaming of flight. Glimmer, the smallest, slept lightly, her ears lifting at every sound. Aiden felt a strange bond with them, more than friendship. Something deeper, something he didn't understand yet. The Guardians in the mountains had mentioned the first flame, a source of power older than dragons, older than humans, older than the Veil itself. And now that Aiden had awakened the hatchlings with his presence, the world seemed to shift around him. A shadow in the sky, a rustle of wings cut through the quiet night. Glimmer's eyes shot open first, her pupils thinned. A low growl rumbled in her small throat. Aiden stood up slowly. "What is it?" he whispered. Ember lifted her head and sniffed the air. Smoke, but not friendly. A sharp smell. Metallic. Wrong. Flint stepped in front of Aiden, spreading his tiny wings wide, trying to shield him. Then the sound grew louder. Heavy, beating wings, too large to belong to any hatchling. From the dark clouds above, a shape descended like a falling mountain. A dragon, but not like Ember's kind. This one was dark as obsidian, covered in jagged scales that looked like broken glass. Its eyes glowed blue, but not warm or alive. They flickered like dying embers. Aiden froze. "Is that a real dragon?" "No," a voice answered in his mind. Aiden spun around. Ember was staring at him, her eyes glowing faintly. She was speaking to him. Not with words, but with threads of thought. "That is a hollow drake," Ember projected. "A dragon made from old magic. No heart, no soul, only hunger." Aiden swallowed. Hard. "Yes," Flint answered through the mental link, his voice sharp and young. "It came for us. For you. You woke the first flame. And now the hollow awakens too." Aiden felt a cold chill stab his spine. A predator's descent. The hollow drake landed on a rocky cliff, cracking stone beneath its weight. Its wings folded with a broken, unnatural movement, like bones scraping against each other. Its head swung down. It stared at Aiden. No emotion, no breath, no warmth. Glimmer whimpered and hid behind Aiden's leg. Aiden knelt and touched her head. "It's okay, I'm here." But it wasn't okay. He could feel it. The hollow drake wasn't just hunting, it was waiting like a creature obeying a command. "Why does it want me?" Aiden whispered. Amber answered slowly. "Because the power inside you does not belong to humans. It is calling to the flame, and the flame is calling back." Before Aiden could ask more, the hollow drake roared. It was not a normal roar. It carried sharp vibrations that cracked branches and shook loose stones. The air trembled around them. The hatchlings braced themselves. Aiden covered his ears, but the sound pierced him anyway. He collapsed to one knee. Ember stepped in front of him, her tiny body blazing with fire. Flint unleashed sparks, trying to look threatening. Glimmer's wings shimmered with faint light. The hollow drake stared at them with dead eyes and leapt. "The first flame answers." The creature moved like a lightning strike, claws slicing through the air. Aiden didn't think, instinct took over. He grabbed a burning stick from the campfire and swung it wildly, even though he knew it was useless. But something strange happened. The flame on the stick grew brighter, brighter, brighter. It erupted into a ribbon of white gold fire, spiraling around Aiden's arm without burning him. The hatchlings gasped. "That is not normal fire," Glimmer whispered in awe. "That is the first flame," Ember confirmed, her voice trembling with respect. The hollow drake screeched and recoiled as the flame coiled around Aiden like a living serpent. Aiden stared at his arm. What is happening to me?" "You are awakening," Ember said softly. "The flame has chosen you." The hollow drake didn't wait. It lunged again. The battle under the red sky. Aiden thrust his arm forward and the white gold fire shot out in a beam of pure energy. It slammed into the hollow drake's chest, knocking the creature back several meters. Flint charged, unleashing tiny bolts of molten sparks. They hit the hollow drake's wings, burning holes. Ember roared and released a burst of flame that burned 10 times hotter than before. Glimmer darted around the enemy, distracting it with blinding flashes of light. The hollow drake swiped at them, but the hatchlings were small and fast. Still, its claws grazed Flint, cutting his shoulder. He yelped and stumbled. "Flint!" Aiden shouted. He didn't think. The first flame wrapped around him again, forming a shield. Aiden ran forward and blocked the hollow's next strike with a wall of fire. The impact shook him to his bones, but he didn't fall. "Get away from them!" Aiden shouted. His voice echoed unnaturally, layered with another deeper tone, as if something ancient spoke through him. The hollow drake hesitated. For the first time, it showed confusion. That was the moment the hatchlings needed. Ember blasted it again. Flint, though wounded, bit into the creature's leg. Glimmer shot a beam of pure light into its eyes. The hollow drake stumbled back right toward the cliff edge. Aiden thrust both hands forward, and the first flame exploded outward. A shockwave of golden. The hollow drake let out a metallic scream and fell off the cliff into the darkness below. Silence followed, heavy, breathless. Aiden collapsed to his knees. The fire around him faded. He felt empty, drained, but alive. A new threat rises. The hatchlings huddled around him. "You saved us," Flint whispered, voice strained but proud. "No," Aiden said weakly. "We saved each other." Ember touched her head to his chest. "You are more than human now. The flame sleeps inside you, but others will sense it." Aiden looked at her, fear rising in his throat. "Others like that?" "No," Ember answered darkly. "Worse." Glimmer looked toward the sky. The hollow drake was only a scout. Something stronger is coming. Aiden felt the air grow colder. Across the horizon, a tower of dark smoke spiraled upward like a warning. "Who is coming?" he whispered. Ember met his gaze. "The one who commands the hollow," she said softly. "The one who fears the first flame more than anything." Aiden's heartbeat slowed. "And who is that?" Ember's next words made his blood turn to ice. Dawn crept slowly over Emberfall Ridge, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and gold. But even with the light of morning spreading across the mountains, the air felt heavy, too still, too quiet, as if nature itself was holding its breath. Aiden sat near the dying campfire, gently wrapping Flint's wounded shoulder with strips of cloth. The young dragon winced but tried to appear strong. Ember watched with serious eyes, her tail flicking anxiously. Glimmer paced back and forth, wings twitching. No one spoke for a long time. The memory of the hollow drake falling from the cliff still haunted them. Aiden broke the silence. Who is the last warden?" Ember's eyes narrowed, her scales glowing faintly. "He was once a protector of our world, a guardian of balance, but when the first flame faded long ago, he broke." Glimmer shivered. "He changed, turned cold, turned dark." Flint looked away. "He believes the flame is too dangerous to exist, and anyone who carries it must be destroyed." Aiden absorbed their words in silence. "So he's coming for me?" "No," Ember said softly. "He is coming for all of us." Aiden looked at the horizon. Dark clouds swirled above the distant mountains, twisting like a giant serpent of smoke. "And we can't outrun him," Glimmer whispered. "A warden always finds what he seeks." Aiden clenched his fists. "Then we don't run." Ember tilted her head. "What do you mean?" "We face him," Aiden said, "together." The hatchlings exchanged glances, fear, pride, uncertainty all mixed in their young eyes. Ember stood straighter. "Then we will fight beside you." The storm over the ruins. The journey took them through narrow valleys and old forest paths. The wind grew colder with each step. Trees twisted unnaturally, their branches bending away from the direction the group walked, as if warning them to turn back. After hours of walking, they reached a wide clearing. At the center stood ancient stone ruins, massive broken pillars covered in old runes. The ground glowed faintly with blue light. Aiden's chest tightened. "This is where I first awakened the veil inside me." Ember nodded. "And this is where the last warden will find you." Before Aiden could speak, the ground trembled. The air grew sharp and freezing. A low hum echoed from the ruins, ancient, powerful, alive. Then, from the swirling clouds above, a tall figure descended slowly like a falling star. Aiden felt his breath stop. The last warden was not a dragon, Not fully. He stood on two legs like a human, but his body was covered in stone-like armor made from dragon scales. His eyes glowed white, cold, and empty. A giant spear, cracked, glowing, ancient, rested in his hand. His voice echoed like thunder striking metal. Child of the first flame, you carry power you cannot control. Aiden's heart pounded. What do you want from me? The warden's eyes burned brighter. To protect the world by ending you. The hatchling stepped in front of Aiden instantly, wings spread, teeth bared. The warden tilted his head. You would defend him? Hatchlings do not understand danger. Flint growled. We understand more than you think. Glimmer's wings shimmered with courage. He saved us, we save him. Ember ignited with fire. You will not touch him. Aiden stepped forward, voice steady. I won't run. If you want to fight him, then fight me. The warden raised his spear. So be it. The clash of light and stone. The sky cracked with lightning. The ruins shook. The warden moved first, faster than wind, faster than thought. He swung his spear, releasing a wave of white energy that tore open the ground. Aiden dodged barely. Ember leapt and blasted him with fire, but the warden's shield absorbed it completely. Flint unleashed sparks, aiming for the warden's exposed joints. The warden stepped through the attack like it was dust. He grabbed Flint by the tail and flung him aside. Flint! Aiden shouted. Glimmer shot beams of light at the warden's face. He blocked them, but they slowed him. Enough time for Aiden to react. The first flame awakened. Not with fire, but with heartbeat. Something inside him pulsed, spreading warmth through his veins. His hands glowed white gold, brighter than before. Aiden raised his arms and the flame formed around him like armor, shifting, alive. The warden paused. That power will consume you, he warned. Maybe, Aiden replied, but not today. He charged. The warden swung his spear. Aiden blocked it with a shield of golden fire. The impact sent a shockwave across the ruins. Ember flew beside Aiden, breathing flames to push the warden back. Flint bit the warden's leg, drawing sparks from the stone-like skin. Glimmer dove down and struck the warden's helmet with a flash of blinding light. The warden stumbled, just a second, but enough. Aiden jumped and slammed his glowing fist into the warden's chest. Cracks spread across the warden's armor. The warden roared, not in pain but in anger. You are becoming something dangerous, boy. He raised his spear. And dangerous things must be erased. Breaking point. The warden stabbed the spear into the ground and a shockwave burst outward. The hatchlings were thrown back. Rocks shattered. Trees uprooted. Aiden flew several meters before crashing into a pillar. He gasped for air. The flame flickered, weak, unstable. The warden walked toward him slowly. Your flame dies here. Aiden tried to stand, but his legs shook. The world spun. He saw the hatchling struggling to rise. Ember crawled to him, pain in her eyes. Aiden, get up. I can't, he whispered. You must, she begged. We believe in you. Aiden closed his eyes. The warden's shadow fell over him. Aiden whispered, I'm not strong enough. Then a soft voice echoed inside his mind, faint but clear. You are not alone. We are with you. His heart surged, and the first flame erupted outward like a sunburst. Awakening. Aiden stood, eyes glowing gold, the flame swirling around him like molten armor. The warden took a step back. This should not be possible. Aiden lifted his hand. Maybe you're right, maybe I can't control this yet. The flames spread across the ruins, humming with ancient fire. But I will learn. The warden raised his spear, but Aiden was faster. He thrust both hands forward. A beam of pure golden energy shot out. Powerful, focused, unstoppable. It struck the warden in the chest, sending cracks racing through his armor like shattered ice. The warden staggered, fell to one knee. His spear dropped. The ground stopped shaking. Silence. The warden looked up at Aiden. His voice softened, just a little. You carry the flame with courage and in heart. Perhaps the world still has hope. Aiden lowered his hands. I don't want to fight you. The warden's form began to crumble, turning into ash and glowing dust. But others will, he warned. The Hollow Legion has awakened. Aiden felt dread grip his heart. What's coming? The warden's final words echoed like a warning across the ruins. Not one enemy, thousands. The wind blew and the last warden turned to dust, carried away by the morning breeze. The hatchlings ran to Aiden, surrounding him, trembling but alive. Aiden stared at the sky. Dark shapes, hundreds, moved in the clouds. The Legion was arriving, and the real war was only beginning. The sky darkened long before evening. What began as a thin line of shadows across the clouds soon thickened into something far heavier, far more unnatural. Aiden stood at the edge of the ruins, the hatchlings close beside him, as the darkness above spread like ink dissolving through water. The wind changed. It carried a strange, hollow whisper, like distant metal scraping stone. Ember pressed closer to Aiden's leg, her scales trembling. Flint's wings buzzed nervously. Glimmer's light dimmed, flickering like a candle caught in a draft. They all felt it. The arrival of something ancient, something merciless, something meant to erase. Aiden looked at the sky with a quiet dread, watching as the shadows twisted into shapes, long, sharp shapes like armored wings stretching across the clouds. "The Hollow Legion," he whispered. Ember nodded slowly, eyes narrowing. "The Warden spoke the truth. They have awakened." Glimmer shivered. "They were once dragons like us, but hollowed out, changed, devoured by the void." Flint gulped. "They don't stop, they don't think, they only destroy." Aiden's hands tightened into fists. He had barely survived fighting one corrupted monster, the Hollow Drake. How could they stand against hundreds? But he pushed the fear down. He had made a promise. Stand by them, protect them, never run, and he would keep it. The first descent. The darkness broke open. Dozens, then hundreds of winged creatures spilled out, dragon-like shapes with jagged armor and glowing empty eyes. Their bodies looked carved from obsidian, each crack oozing faint violet light. They circled above the ruins, creating a storm of shadows. Aiden felt the first flame surge within him, responding to the threat. Ember braced her stance, fire building beneath her scales. Flint crouched low, sparks dancing along his claws. Glimmer prepared her shimmering light, though fear made her wings shake. The Legion leader descended first. It was larger than the others, twice the size of a normal dragon with 4 twisted horns and armor cracked with deep purple veins. Its wings stretched wide, sending gusts of cold wind across the clearing. Aiden couldn't breathe for a moment. This was not hollow. It was consumed. It landed, cracking the earth beneath it. Glimmer whispered, trembling, "That is a general, one of the void-bound." The creature gave off a low, rumbling sound, neither roar nor breath, more like a furnace trying to speak. Aiden felt the flame flicker inside him, almost as if it feared the creature. The general stepped forward. Every hollow dragon in the sky stopped. Silence fell. Then, with one beat of its wings, the general launched itself directly toward Aiden. The human stands alone. Aiden reacted without thinking. The flame burst from his hands in a golden wave, slamming into the general mid-flight. The impact sent the dragon spinning backward, but not far, only enough to anger it. The creature's hollow eyes glowed brighter. Flint shouted, "Aiden, they want the flame." Glimmer cried, "They can sense it, they will not stop." Aiden stepped forward anyway. "I won't let them take it, I won't let them take you." The flame rose around him like swirling molten wings. His heartbeat steadied. His vision sharpened. The ruins glowed in response, reacting to the presence of the first flame itself. The general roared, this time louder, angrier, and lunged again. Aiden met the charge head-on. Golden fire crashed against void corruption. Light and shadow collided with explosive force, shaking the ground. The shockwave knocked the hatchlings back several steps. The general slashed at Aiden with its massive claws. Aiden blocked with a glowing barrier of light. Cracks spread across the shield, but he held it. The general opened its jaws, releasing a beam of violet flame. Aiden threw himself aside, rolling across the dirt as the beam sliced through 3 ancient pillars behind him, turning them to purple dust. He pushed himself back up. The general charged again. Aiden braced, but 3 small figures leapt in front of him. The hatchlings fight. Ember hit the general with a blast of scorching fire. Flint tackled the creature's leg, claws sparking against dark armor. Glimmer unleashed a flash of blinding white light, forcing the general to stumble. For a heartbeat, the battlefield shifted. The hatchlings bought Aiden precious seconds. Ember twisted around the general's neck, leaving burning streaks across its armor. Flint clung to its wing joint, chewing and slashing. Glimmer darted above its head, leaving dazzling trails of interference. But the general was too strong. With a violent jerk, it threw Ember off. With one beat of its wing, it flung Flint into a stone wall. With a snap of its tail, it struck Glimmer out of the air. Aiden's heart dropped.
"No!"
He sprinted forward, rage and fear blurring into pure instinct. The flame erupted from his chest, traveling down his arms. He grabbed the general's tail mid-swing. Light exploded outward. The dragon crashed into the ground, stunned by the sudden burst of power. Aiden stood over the creature, eyes glowing bright gold. "You hurt them," he whispered. And the flame responded, not with anger, with purpose, the light that should not exist. The ruins began to glow beneath Aiden's feet. Ancient symbols, long asleep, lit up in golden patterns. The sky froze. Even the Hollow Legion stopped moving. Ember lifted her head, shocked. "That light, it is the Primarch circuit." Flint's voice trembled. "Only the first flame can awaken it," Glimmer whispered. "Aiden, what are you?" Aiden didn't hear them. He heard something else, a deep hum from the earth below, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. The flame inside him connected to the ruins, to the mountain, to something older than dragons, older than the Empire itself. The ground broke up. Stone pillars rose like colossal guardians. Golden light shot upward, forming a dome around the ruins. The Hollow Legion roared in frustration. The general thrashed, trying to stand. Aiden stepped toward it, the flame steady and calm, no longer flickering. "You don't belong here," he said quietly. He pressed his hand to the creature's forehead. Golden fire spread across the dragon's body. Its hollow armor cracked. Purple corruption burned away like smoke. The creature froze. And for a moment, just a moment, something alive flickered in its empty eyes. Aiden saw the truth. Inside every hollow dragon was a trapped soul, crying for release. The general whispered, not with voice but with its fading heart, "Free us." And then it turned to dust, dissolving into the wind. The Legion moves. Aiden staggered backward, breathing hard. The hatchlings ran to him, supporting him from all sides. The Hollow Legion above shrieked, not in fear but in fury. Their leader was dead. Their target remained, and the dome of golden energy was already fading. Ember looked at the sky. "They are preparing to strike again." Flint trembled. "All of them." Glimmer pressed close to Aiden. "We can't hold this place, not alone, not like this." Aiden looked at the hundreds of shadows swirling above. He didn't know how to win. He didn't know how to survive. But he knew one thing. If we stay here, they'll kill us. He pointed toward the mountain path leading deeper into the valley. "Run." The hatchlings didn't argue. Together, limping, exhausted, terrified, they fled into the mountains, as the Hollow Legion dove after them like a tidal wave of darkness. And the war truly began. Night fell over the mountains like a heavy curtain. Dark clouds rolled above the jagged peaks, and the glowing eyes of the Hollow Legion moved within them like swarms of violet stars. The mountains echoed with distant screeches, signals of hunters searching for prey. Aiden ran through narrow mountain trails with the hatchlings beside him. His legs felt weak. His lungs burned. The golden flame flickered inside him, dimmer with every step. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. The hatchlings stumbled too, Ember limping from her thrown impact, Flint's wing dragging after hitting the stone wall, Glimmer's light fading like a dying ember. They tried to stay strong for him, but the truth was painful. They were too small, too injured, too outnumbered. They were prey being chased by a storm. Aiden felt the mountain path tighten into a thin ridge. Wind roared around them. Far below, sharp rocks waited like open jaws. "This way," Ember whispered, guiding him toward a narrow cave opening hidden behind old roots. Aiden squeezed inside with the hatchlings close behind. The cave smelled of old stone and cold air. The walls were rough, covered with glowing blue moss. As soon as they stepped inside, Glimmer collapsed, breathing heavily. Flint curled beside her, tail shaking. Ember sat near Aiden, her voice trembling. "They will find us soon." Aiden closed his eyes. He knew she was right. The Legion could track the flame. They would not stop until everything connected to it was erased. Aiden placed his hand on the cave wall. "Maybe this isn't a hiding place," he said softly. "Maybe it's a place to make a stand." Ember lifted her head. "But you're tired, we all are." Aiden nodded slowly. "I know, but running won't save us anymore." Flint whispered. "Then what can we do?" Aiden opened his eyes. "We make them fear us. The cave of memories." The cave went deeper than Aiden expected. As they walked further, the air warmed. Strange markings appeared on the walls. Spirals, dragons, flames, circles. Glimmer recognized them first. "This is ancient, older than the Empire." Ember stepped closer to the symbols. "These are dragon memories," she whispered. carved by the first brood before all wars before time. Aiden felt something stir in the flame within him. A gentle pull. A whisper. It led him deeper until they reached a large chamber. The center of the room held a massive stone pedestal shaped like intertwined dragon wings, and resting on the pedestal was a glowing white crystal. Not bright, not sharp, just warm, alive. Aiden stepped toward it slowly. Flint whispered, "What is that?" Ember's voice trembled in awe. "That is a heartstone, a real one." Glimmer gasped, the last gift left by the first flame itself. Aiden felt the flame inside him react, humming like it remembered something long forgotten. He reached out. The crystal pulsed gently, then melted into pure light and flowed into his chest. Aiden staggered. His vision blurred. For a moment he saw nothing but white. Then, he was standing in a vast golden field beneath a sky filled with dragons of light. Voices spoke around him, warm, ancient, powerful. "You are chosen. You are the bridge. You are the keeper of the last hope." When he opened his eyes, the hatchlings were staring at him with wide eyes. The flame inside him had changed. It no longer flickered. It no longer struggled. It flowed like a river of calm fire. Aiden exhaled. "I know what we need to do." The Legion arrives. They didn't need to wait long. The cave entrance exploded inward as hollow dragons rammed through the stone. Dust and rocks rained down. Shrill, terrible screeches echoed through the chamber. Violet eyes glowed in the darkness. Dozens, then hundreds. The hatchlings huddled close to Aiden, their bodies shaking. Glimmer whispered, "We can't win this." Aiden placed a hand on her head. "We don't need to win the fight." He stepped forward. "We need to end the corruption." The flame awakened in full. The cave blazed with golden light. Hollow dragons shrieked and recoiled as the brightness struck them like burning sunlight. Shadows peeled away from their armor, revealing the trapped shapes beneath. Aiden's voice echoed through the mountains. "Come to me." The Legion rushed in all at once, hundreds of twisted wings and claws storming toward the center of the chamber. The hatchlings braced themselves, but Aiden didn't raise a shield. He raised the flame. The purifying burst. Golden fire burst from his chest in a massive wave, filling the entire chamber. The flames didn't burn the stone. They didn't harm Ember, Flint, or Glimmer. They passed through the hollow dragons, and something extraordinary happened. Every corrupted creature froze mid-charge. The purple glow in their eyes flickered, then vanished. Where there had been rage, there was confusion, fear, relief. Aiden felt the force of their trapped souls reaching out to him. Thousands of silent voices finally freed. The golden fire continued to spread, wrapping around each hollow dragon like a warm blanket. Cracks formed in their armor. Violet corruption splintered and fell away. And one by one, each dragon turned into pure white light and drifted into the sky like glowing embers. Free. Finally free. The mountain trembled as the last of the darkness dissolved. Silence fell. Then, the entire cave shone bright for a final moment, as if honoring the release of ancient souls. When the light faded, Aiden fell to his knees, exhausted. The hatchlings ran to him instantly. Ember nuzzled against him, her throat rumbling softly. "You saved them." Flint's eyes were wide, shining. "You saved everyone." Glimmer pressed her head to his chest. "You saved us." Aiden smiled weakly. "It wasn't just me." He placed a hand on each hatchling. "It was us, together." The oath of Ember. The next morning, golden sunlight filled the valley again. The darkness in the sky was gone. The cold wind had become gentle. The three hatchlings stood proudly beside Aiden at the mouth of the cave. "We are in your debt," Ember said softly. "Forever." Aiden shook his head. "No debts, only choice." Glimmer's eyes glowed with soft white light. "Then we choose you." Flint puffed out his chest. "We follow you wherever you go." The sunlight warmed Aiden's back. He looked into the bright morning sky, free of shadows, free of fear. The dragons waited for his response. Aiden placed his hand over his heart. "Then I make this promise." His voice carried through the valley. "I will protect you. I will fight beside you, and I will carry the flame not as a weapon, but as hope." The hatchlings bowed their heads, and in that quiet dawn something new was born. Not a legend, not a prophecy, not a war, but a bond strong enough to change the future. The Emberfall Oath, a pledge between one human and three young dragons, to shape a world where fear could never rule again. Aiden looked at the rising sun. Their journey was far from over, but now they would face it together, and the galaxy would never be the same.